Try this. Stop thinking for the next 10 seconds. No plans, no memories, no commentary on the silence. Just stop. When the thoughts inevitably return, the reality sets in. If you cannot command the machinery to be silent, you are a passenger in a vehicle you didn't start. Take Manoj, he oversees. To his colleagues, he is the model of productivity, but beneath the professional exterior, he is a biological automaton, a functional sleepwalker who has disappeared into his own routine. Then, at 4 in the morning, the routine breaks. This is the Brahma Muhurta, a window of absolute silence where the world hasn't yet started its noise. Manoj wakes up with a violent, unexplained clarity. This chart tracks the biological engine. Melatonin's cooling effect drains away, while an aggressive spike of cortisol floods the system for action. This collision shifts the brain into wide, rhythmic alpha and theta waves, creating a brief state of hyper-awareness before the day begins. Lying in the dark, Manoj attempts to catch a single thought by the tail. He tries to trace the exact moment he fell asleep, or identify the very first spark of consciousness upon waking. He finds nothing but a chaotic, untraceable current. The machinery is running, but the operator is gone. Manoj realizes his mind is an autonomous, driverless train, and he is simply strapped into the passenger seat. If the thoughts are generating themselves, the foundation of his identity collapses. If Manoj isn't the voice in his head, what is actually left? He examines the first stranger, the body. It manages cellular division, heart rhythm, and digestion without his permission. It is a biological engine that treats his conscious will as irrelevant to its survival. The second stranger is the mind, a self-generating traffic jam of social programming and fear. It is a feedback loop of memories and anxieties that cycles regardless of whether he wants it to. Manoj looks at the objects in his room and they begin to appear alien, as if seeing the world through thick glass. As the boundary between his identity and his thoughts dissolves, reality itself begins to feel like a synthetic stage set. Clinical psychologists identify this specific sensation as derealization. The dopamine hypothesis explains why this happens. When self-inquiry becomes too intense, it can flood the neural network with light, overloading the circuitry and snapping the wires that connect the individual to reality. Without a specific philosophical anchor, the act of observing your own mind as a stranger is deeply destabilizing. The light of consciousness can easily burn the very machine it is trying to understand. Yet, in the middle of this psychological collapse, Manoj discovers a third entity. It is the part of him that is actually watching the breakdown happen. This is the Sakshi, or the witness. It sits on a quiet observation deck above the chaos of the body and the mind. It doesn't judge the thoughts or try to stop the heart. It simply sees them. Thoughts are defined by constant movement and friction. The witness is defined by absolute stillness. It is the silent space where the noise of life is allowed to occur. Manoj finds his center. His name, his job, and his fears are just the moving parts of a machine. His true identity is the stillness watching them move. Most people find this stillness and immediately want to run to the mountains to protect it. But for a civil engineer in a noisy city, isolation isn't an option. He adopts the framework of Kaula Tantra. It is the art of standing at the center of the material world while remaining mentally detached from its gravity. For Manoj, this means returning to the PWD office, a world of budgets, deadlines, and inspections. He engages with the machinery of his job, but is no longer part of the gears. Clarity isn't found in an empty room. The true test of awareness is the friction and heat of a chaotic afternoon in the middle of a city. The test arrives when Manoj is passed over for a major promotion. The job goes to Nitin, a man whose only real talent is flattering the right people. Manoj's old programming would have taken over instantly. He would have felt a surge of rage, followed by a week-long internal storm of bitterness and resentment. Instead, the witness activates. He feels the cortisol hit his bloodstream. He observes the heat in his chest. But he treats the emotion like a weather report, informative but not who he is. He initiates the protocol of vairagya. He consciously loosens his psychological grip on the outcome, allowing the injustice to exist without letting it define his reality. He takes a sweet from the man who took his promotion. He eats it and smiles. It is a genuine action, born from the realization that this office drama cannot touch the silence inside him. Manoj watches the office, the noise, the files, the junior's smug expression, and sees them as passing clouds against an indifferent sky. He remains at the center, the only one in the room who has actually met the stranger driving the machine.